Hi, my name is Janet Courtney, and I'm the CEO and founder of Lighthouse Therapy. And in this video, we're going to ask that very question: what does it take to start a teletherapy company? I started Lighthouse Therapy in 2018. We are 6 years old, just at a few days from the recording of this video. When I started Lighthouse, my mission was to have us be a therapy company that is run by therapists for the betterment of students. And some people will say that that mission is a naive statement, but I tell you, we've been doing it for 6 years. So what does it take? What do you have to do to start your own company? Here's some things to consider. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying as saying you can't do it, because you can do it. It takes work, hard work. It takes capital, money. It takes commitment to the hours. And I'll tell you, it's never 9 to 5. Never 9 to 5. Not if you want to be successful. If you want to be successful, you cannot count on a 9 to 5 job. So if you're looking for work-life balance in your life, starting your own company or starting your own practice is not going to help you with work-life balance. But there are so many needs in special education out there. So if this is something that you want, follow your dreams, set goals, chase after them. If you write your goals down and you chase after them, you can do this. So let's consider the cost requirements. So when you start a company like this, what does it cost? What do you have to do, or what do you have to consider in order to have a successful company? The first thing you have to consider, because we are a service industry, we provide a service to the schools and they pay us for those services. So those services are your labor costs. That's your therapist. That's you. You're watching this video as a therapist because you want to know, when I'm charging that money, how come half of it doesn't go back to you and I keep the other half? Because there is so much of a cost. And the first cost, and the first one we consider, is our labor costs, and that's the therapist. So do you pay them W-2 or do you pay 1099? If you choose W-2, you have to understand that you're going to have to register with every state that your therapists reside in. You're going to have to understand the HR and the labor laws in all of those states. And that is a reason why Lighthouse chooses to stay 1099. The other thing to consider is, as you grow, you're going to need office staff. You're going to need people to manage those things that you don't have time to manage. And those departments can be human resources. They can be recruiting, clinical, sales, advertising, marketing, finance, all of those. So let's talk about HR to start with. So for human resources, you need to think about insurance. You need to think about regulation and compliance. How about licensure and certification for therapists? Every state that you go into has different requirements, and every discipline that you cover has different requirements. How about recruitment? How do you get the therapists? How do you find them? What do you do to find good people to serve the students? You work so hard to get that contract. Now you need the therapist to provide those services. How do you find the right ones? And then clinical. How do you make sure that your therapists are doing a great job, which we're as therapists, we work really hard. I know that. But problems arise. So you need somebody who's going to manage all of those questions when they do come up. And then sales. The average sales cycle for public schools is 12 to 18 months. And with larger districts, if you want to get that great big school district, they often require an RFP, which is a request for proposal. And even if you get awarded an RFP, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to send you business. So you can do all that work, get the RFP, and no work. Another thing to consider is, what platform will you use? Has to be HIPAA and FERPA compliance, right? How do you handle technical issues? Are you going to have a tech department? How many hours are you going to have tech services available? And what EMR are you going to use? Electronic medical record. And in this EMR, you're going to do your record keeping. You're going to ensure that you have secure documentation. You're going to create your invoices, payment ledgers, payroll. And with payroll, you need someone in a finance department to make sure that you have the funds in order to pay your people. And then there's the insurance costs for your company, general liability, professional liability. What limits do you need? Certain schools have certain limits that you have to have. Workers' compensation, cyber insurance, all of those things cost money. And the more you grow, the more they cost. The other piece is CPA and an attorney cost, taxes, contracts and disputes, all of those things. Having the right contract language and having someone to help you to understand the tax law is no joke. You need those people. I would not do this business without making sure that I have had my contracts looked over and that my taxes are in order. And then there's the issue of cash flow. Anybody that's had a business understands cash flow. Accounts receivable, accounts payable. If you have contracts that are net 15, net 30, net 45, and that will depend on when you get paid, right? So if you're net 15 and you're paying your staff net 15, what happens if they don't pay you on time? And not everybody pays on time. And most schools want net 30 or net 45. So if I'm paying my therapist net 15, which is what we do, and the school is net 45, I am paying my therapist 3 times before I see one payment from the school. And that is a hurdle. That's a big hurdle. And are therapists going to wait until you get paid to get paid? I don't think so. So what do companies do? Companies borrow, and then they have a debt that they need to service, or they have investors. And I'll tell you, investors come with the board of directors. I have seen 4 companies in the last year who have taken on investors, and they had a CEO and a founder with a vision, and all of those companies, the CEOs have been removed or replaced by the board of directors. And you know what that does to their culture and how they do things and what's done? I've seen layoffs. I've seen changes. I've seen contract changes. I've seen changes in what the therapists are allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. We don't take investors. For that very reason, Lighthouse does not take investors, because I don't want that shift in our culture. I don't want the work that we have worked so hard at Lighthouse to have that mission in mind that was given to me by God to be changed by investors. I haven't even talked about assessments. What about assessments and the shipping costs? How about web hosting and developing and advertising, brand development, and the list just goes on and on and on. I am blessed at Lighthouse because we have an amazing team. They are dedicated to the mission here at Lighthouse Therapy. I have been successful because of these people and because I put the right people in at the right time. But it has never been a straight line. There have been long days. There have been sleepless nights. There have been tears and frustrations and are we going to make it? But I'll tell you, God has been good to us. And we have definitely been called to do this, and it has been a leap of faith. I always tell people that God put my money, because we used our nest egg to start the business, and my family into Lighthouse Therapy. So there is no way that I'm going to fail. So there you go. If you want to do it, take the leap, go into it, but go into it with your eyes open, knowing that it's going to be hard, but it's worth it. I hope you found this helpful. If you still have questions, please feel free to visit our website at lighthouse-therapy.com and go to our resource library. Thank you and have a blessed day.